fictional reading?
Boku no Pico manga. Look it up. So this video, I'll be reacting to this man that I assume gonna speak about the importance of reading something else than self-improvement books as well. And also the selection and what we could think about when we want to start reading, because in my experience there's a lot of you out there that might have difficulties or just hard times getting into reading due to it's being boring, or you feel like it doesn't interest you at all or something like that. And yeah, I will share my pointers, my own experience, because I've been just like you. I used to hate reading, and nowadays it's one of my biggest hobbies. So yeah, let's get into it.
Some people like history and biographies and memoirs. And then there are others who like self-help books, financial advice and fitness advice and advice on habits and priorities and routines. So I guess my point is everyone's going to like something different.
Yeah,
People are going to read different things for different reasons.
doesn't really
I
matter
want
what
this
it
video
is.
to shed light on the great benefits of reading fiction over self-help books. If you are a big self-help reader, you love reading all the self-help books, you might look at fiction as not being beneficial. Or
Oh, hit it on the spot there. This is so true. It's so true. When I started reading, I only read self-help books. I only read things like books in psychology, in philosophy, a lot of books in self-improvement and all that stuff. The first year, which isn't too long ago actually, but then I read like 10 books in total that year, only non-fiction, like only self-help and like psychology and all that. And it was great. I learned a ton. I learned a lot. And I gained wisdom, knowledge, and just new mindset and new like abilities to approach life in a more optimal and realistic way. But later on, I found fiction.
helpful. You might look at fiction as a waste of time. I have a friend who reads pretty much only self-help books. He loves finances, loves economics, fitness, things that help him learn and motivate and grow. He doesn't read fiction or fictional stories. He doesn't really know where to begin with that. I asked him, hey, why don't you read fiction? And he told me because he feels like when he reads a book, he has to be learning. He has to be growing.
That's pretty common.
Learning something new, doing something valuable with his time with a book. He equates that with self-help books.
And this is also that we could look upon in society, not just when we read, but how we live and when we just do certain tasks in life. That if it's not useful or if it's not valuable or beneficial, then it's useless. Then it doesn't deserve your time and so on. And I've been in that trap, I know. And of course, mostly we want the useful things, because why wouldn't we? We want to grow and we want to like take steps that's good for our development as a human being in life. So of course that's what we want mostly, but it shouldn't be like this focus in that level that it's only about that and so on. Because what also happens is when we focus too much on, for example, reading only self-help books or only non-fiction, is that we forget about the important things and what reading really is about.
And then I asked my wife about all this. I asked her, how do we get him to read fiction? How can we encourage him? What books can we recommend to maybe light a fire under him, to bring some excitement into fictional reading?
Boku no Pico manga, look it up. Not just kidding.
So I asked him, what kind of stories interest you? What kind of vibe? And he said Greek mythology. So my wife recommended...
Yeah, I like that too.
What is it? She recommended the Percy Jackson books because they're Greek mythology.
Great
and
ones. Great
light,
movies too.
Not crazy hard and in depth with the world building. They're an easy palate cleanser. A nice, gentle step into that doorway of,
For sure.
of fantasy and fiction. So when Christmas comes, I might get him a couple of those books. I guess the point of that whole story is you can learn a lot with fiction. You don't have to read nonfiction and memoirs and biographies and history and self-help books to learn and grow, to learn something about yourself, to evaluate yourself. I talked to my wife about all this, and
before it continues, I'm just add one thing to that. I've done this for a long time, that want to read as much as humanly possible to know myself better and to like gain the knowledge in behavioralism and psychology and philosophy, because these are topics I'm very passionate and interested in, but also because when we learn certain things, we gain control over our life, and that's a very natural and human thing to want to master. But reading things like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, or Percy Jackson, or anything, it teaches us really the things that's important in life, like different morals, what's right and wrong, communication, different type of injustices in society, even if it's a made-up society. But if it's a good written book, and your type of book, for me at least, it becomes very real, even so.
she brings up Harry Potter.
Well, there you go.
What a perfect book series, especially for children, but really any age.
Yeah, for adults too.
You learn so
Doesn't
much
matter.
about friendship, sacrifice,
Power of friendship.
selflessness, humility. You learn good and evil, and so much more.
Yeah.
But there is so much you can take away from a fictional story. In my opinion, I feel like you learn more about humankind and human nature through fiction
Yeah, preach.
than
Preach to that.
anything else out there, than any self-help book. What's fun about fiction, these self-help books, regardless of what topic it is, they hit you on the nose. They're educational. Boom, 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 boom.
They're very structural too. It's like very short and concise, like, and in a way very helpful like that, depending on what stage in life you're in, what's really important to you right now. So yeah.
Point after point after point. There's no narrative journey
No,
or ambiguity
it could
Things
be,
aren't
but not
necessarily
in a strong
hidden.
sense.
per se. Whereas a fictional story with characters and maybe a fantastic world and magic system, these themes, these lessons, the morals of these stories can surprise you, catch you off guard. Say you just finished a book, a narrative story, let's say Name of the Wind or All the Pretty Horses, The Road by Cormac McCarthy, these themes and lessons, they may stick with you long after you finish the book. You might just lie in bed, staring at the ceiling at night, wondering, pondering. You might look at the world differently because of a fictional book, because of a fictional character.
Yep.
You might learn about a specific culture or a particular perspective through fictional stories.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I love my self-help books.
Me too.
I just don't seek them out all the time.
Yeah, that's right on the nose with that point. As I said before, I used to only read self-help books, but now I kind of use them as a bonus book or a book I read before going to bed, like just a few pages. Right now I'm reading Ryan Holiday's book, I think it's The Daily Stoic. Amazing book, really. Don't want to say it changed my life because the things he talk about is already a lot of things which I live by, but it's all this like confirmation of my own philosophy and like all these things that I think a lot of other people too should really learn and read when approaching life. So just a few pages of that on a daily basis. And during the day, if I got time, I read a more heavy book like fantasy, fiction, just for my own entertainment, for the story, for the characters, and just getting sucked in that fantasy world, just like watching a movie or a TV show. So, yeah.
There are very few I do read, and read over and over again. One of which is The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield.
Haven't read that.
It's helped me greatly through my creative journeys, my issues with procrastination and doubting myself as a creative. It provides bits of encouragement and nudges me to ignore all the white noise out there and just get to work, have fun doing it. I love self-help books on just creativity, writing, art, finances here and there, maybe a little bit of marketing. I just prefer fiction more.
Yeah, and as he said, he enjoys these certain type of genres when it comes to non-fiction that could benefit his life and could be valuable for the abilities he needs on a daily basis, like economics, finances, even psychology and things like that. And same for me. I mean, I read a lot of philosophy and a lot of psychology because those are topics I work with when I work with clients that deal with depression, anxiety, even psychosis and these like more intense difficulties in life. And also because I like the topics in them, but I still think fiction books is the books that makes reading really easy for me. So, yeah.
I prefer these handcrafted make-believe stories written by some amazingly talented authors. And I love...
And I, for example, is a very big fan of a certain type of authors or writing style. I mean, how the author writes, how the grammar and the lyrical context is like being executed is very important to me when I read. Like I enjoy these more complex and academical written books more than these very easily and light written like novels or other books. I still read any book like that, but I don't know. These more complex books speak more to me. But that's just me, so it's all about finding what speaks to you.
Fiction that really focuses on the human element. I don't read to escape all the time. That's not my main motivation to read these fictional stories. I love learning about characters. And I love joining them on their journey, learning about their problems, immersing myself in their perspective.
And this is also one thing that I talked about earlier, and he's talking about it now, like it's something that becomes human even in these made up fantasy stories. For example, the fantasy and the fiction book I'm reading right now, A Court of Silver Flames, is the last book of it's a mix of romance and fantasy. And the last book in the series, the previous books has been more intense and active when it comes to fight scenes, maybe relationships, and the action in the story and the events that are happening. And like the third one is still one of my favorites, but because it happens so much in that book. But in the last book, which I'm reading right now, that's more driven on, first of all, a side character, which is really special to have a point of view from that character in the entire book. And also like you follow just the story of these characters, like mental and psychological growth and development. And that's really special. And I think this book speaks to me way more due to that, because I work in psychiatric care. I work a lot with these questions in mental health and personal growth and things like that. So therefore it has been like reading this book has even felt like working with a real client of mine and really following this character's path and growing with this character, dealing with all these issues and questions. And especially when the character is really complex and deep like that, so it becomes very human, even if it's a like made up creature and character. So yeah.
And feeling that sense of uneasiness and anxiety when they're dealing with these problems and these adverse circumstances. And I love celebrating with them when they succeed. And the books I choose are books written by authors who really understand human nature and don't shy away from it. I love authors who create and craft deep, deep characters. That's why I'm loving Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry.
I haven't read that either.
And it's funny, I'm only 44 pages in, and I can just tell how real these characters feel. And I know this book is going to be one wild journey. And that's just why I choose fiction. And I just encourage you to maybe set down a self-help book. If that's the kind of book you're into, maybe just put it down for a little bit. Go to the bookstore and find a fictional story that intrigues you. A character, or a few characters, or a world to escape to. Give it a shot.
Just think he has some finishing words here, but I just want to add the last thing of this, that it's it's not bad, it's not wrong to read self-help books. It's very, very important even, and a really great genre. I still read them on a daily basis. So I still think they have a great place in the routine of reading. But I think it's also worth to try, as he says, to try out some fiction. And because you will also notice that it's way easier to read more of fiction than non-fiction, because non-fiction are very fact-based books. And just because you can read more pages with less effort, basically, when we talk about fiction, it's also in most cases gonna be the books that's gonna make it easier for you to read in the first place. And the more you read, the easier it will become, and the better concentration and focus you will get, and so on. And yeah, from there you can add some non-fiction, some self-help books along the way. I mean, when I switched to fiction, I only read fiction. It was so much fun. I still read mostly fiction these days. But today, for example, I read both. As I said, I read fiction during the day and have for now it's a non-fiction book about stoicism that I read before going to bed or just when I have extra time, because the fiction book is more for my own enjoyment, for my own time, when I settle down and when I read and just having a blast. And the non-fiction is more like putting away my phone, reading something light, just to get the brain at ease before going to sleep. And yeah, it improves my sleeping quality, and sets up better maybe settings and better foundations to start off the next day. So yeah, it's a really good balance. So you don't have to have this either you read fiction or either you read non-fiction. You can read both. But from my own experience as well, when it comes to this, if you only read fiction, it's also gonna be easier to stick to fiction. So if you enjoy fiction, I wouldn't recommend exploring too much self-help books or non-fiction, because when you mix that in, it's gonna be harder to get back into the fiction again later on. But if you have a system for it, it's a very unstoppable and amazing combination of reading. And also just one last tip and lesson for those of you who's experiencing maybe difficulties reading or getting into reading, or you're not just feeling that it's your thing to read in the first place, that it's boring, that it's really hard to concentrate, or just like that. Set your bar low, really damn low, and that doesn't mean it has to stay low. You should increase it, but if it's difficult to read in the first place, maybe it's not realistic for you to start out with reading 20 pages on a day, or even 10 on a day, or things like that. So don't set up the same goals as maybe I do or the next guy, because it may not be realistic for you. So even setting up a goal as just to read something doesn't have to even be a certain amount of pages, or just read one book in the whole year. That could be a goal, because the goal will most likely increase over the years. So yeah, start where you're at and take your time, because it's not that easy to find what kind of book is for you in the first place, but yeah, try some different things out. Think about what kind of movies you like, what kind of music you like, what you like in characters, and so on. Because in the end of the day, I think all these fantasy stories and fictional stories, the books that you will like is the books that you're gonna relate to in any way, with characters that you will relate to. So think about that as well when you're choosing. So yeah.
You might learn something. You might grow from experiencing this type of story. There are so many benefits to reading fictional novels. And you know what? I would love to make a video on that. What
Please
those
do.
benefits are. Dive into it a little more. This was more kind of a generalization. And hey, why you should read fiction over self-help. I hope this video can provide a bit of an encouragement to you. And maybe just provide a conversation, a discussion. Let me know what you think about all this, about self-help and fiction, what you prefer. Do you like reading a little bit of both? Or are you only fiction? Or are you only self-help books? Let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation. Thank you for taking the time out of your day.
And yeah, that was it. That was my reaction to this video about books and fiction, books in general maybe, and how you would go about when you starting out with reading or just want to read something new. So yeah, hopefully you liked it. Hopefully it was valuable to at least some of you guys. So yeah, I'll keep making more of these reaction type of videos. Has been really fun to make. So yeah, and please hit that like button, comment down below if you want to see something special, and yeah, see you next time.